Welcome to the Online Success Podcast with Michael Brown. Your online business success starts now.
All right, guys, here we are again. This is episode 20, which what we're going to cover today is how to find a niche market that you can make money in, specifically something that you can do and something that you like. I'm Michael Brown, and let's kick off the Online Success Podcast today. So what we're going to cover, again, we're going to cover how to find a niche market that you can get involved in, that you actually like. And if you're just a beginner, I'm going to give you the best advice that I can give you to get started. And it might be counter advice to what maybe some other people have talked about out there, because other people have different opinions, but I've helped, thousands of people make their first money online, and it's a pretty good system as far as helping someone get established and helping someone start from the ground up. So whether you have experience or none, it doesn't matter. So first off, you might be wondering, well, what a niche market even is. So again, if you're brand new to all this, you might be wondering just that. So what is a niche market? Well, a niche market is simply a smaller market within a larger market. So what I mean by that is you'll have an overall category. For instance, pet supplies. So the pet supplies niche. Underneath that pet supplies niche, there will be several other sub-niche markets. For instance, cat supplies. And then underneath cat supplies, you would have cat food. And then you would have underneath that something like organic cat food or cat food for dry skin or something along those lines. So basically, you have a category and then you have subcategories. So basically think of your niche, a niche market, as a giant category and then smaller subcategories going down. So if that makes sense, I'll give you another example here. Making money, okay, that's the main niche. Making money online is a sub-niche, and then making money online with a blog is an even further down the line sub-niche, okay? So you go from a very broad topic to a very narrow topic, and that's important, and we're going to be discussing those two terms today. So let's look at broad versus narrow, okay? Because that's exactly what I'm talking about. There's a broad niche market, and then there's a narrow niche market. Now, here's the benefits of a broad niche market. A broad niche market has more topics typically, okay? Again, going back to our pet supplies niche, our pet supplies niche is a big topic because under pet supplies you might have parrot supplies, parrot cages, parrot food. You might have gerbil supplies, okay, rat, snake, okay, pick a pet and it's probably there, okay. So that's a very broad topic because you could basically build thousands and thousands of categories from that one niche. So you have a larger market to supply information to. Now, your smaller niches like organic cat food, they are more narrow, okay? What that means is they're more targeted. So if you had a website built around just pet supplies, you wouldn't know exactly what someone was coming there for. You would have to cover several thousand topics or at least several hundred topics. Well, if you had a website based on organic cat food, you would know that everyone coming to that site is looking for some type of information based off of organic cat food. Okay, it's a very narrow topic. And what that makes it makes it very targeted. It's laser targeted. You know what the audience is looking for. Even if you talk about other subjects about organic cat food, you know that the main target audience is interested in organic cat food. Whereas if you were just in pet supplies, you would have very, very large topics to discuss. You'd have to discuss every animal, every product for those animals, and so on. So narrow is just simply more targeted. Now, here's my assessment on broad versus narrow is a broad niche has a longer time frame before you're actually seeing results. And what I mean by that is that there are so many topics, you have to get those covered before you will be able to see your targeted audience come in. And think of something like this. Think of like Petco or one of those pet supply websites that sells and markets pet supply products. They have thousands of topics on there over thousands of different animals. And so therefore, they're a huge, broad market. Okay, and so they have there's a longer time frame, like if you were to set that up before you would probably make money than if you went into a narrow market. Now, with the narrow market, you have a medium to long time frame before you're making money with that kind of niche market. And the reason I say medium to long and not short to long is because I don't want you to get the wrong idea when you're coming into this. And I never steer people in going, hey, you're going to make money in your first week. Because usually people, they get distracted, they lose track of time, they forget to even go work on their new business. And so therefore, telling someone, hey, you're going to make money really fast, well, to me, that's not even something I ever do. I want people to work on the stuff at their own pace. So I always try to give you a reasonable time frame. Now, I've had niche markets that I go into where I can make money in under a month. And I've had other students do that, but I've had people go into a niche market where they didn't apply themselves and they didn't put in the time and effort and things like that. And 6 months later, the site still isn't doing what they want. So that's why I always list a medium time frame. I want to give you some realistic expectations, but a narrow niche topic will get you there a lot faster than a broad niche topic. And here's the beauty of this. You get to pick which route you want to go, okay? You get to choose the style of niche market that you want to be in. And before we go on, there was a website I built when I first got started. I don't remember if it was my second website or third. It's one of the earlier ones. I had this brilliant idea to target several niche markets at once in like one website. It was coffee, wine, or gifts or something like that was the whole topic. And I remember thinking, I started doing the work on the site. I started, putting content up, and I'm like, man, this looks really good. Things were going fine with it. But the audience was so spread out and sporadic that I couldn't find what niche market people were coming in on. It was just too big of a topic. But in other niche markets that I've went after, when I narrowed it down to one specific niche, in a very narrow niche, they've been able to have a lot of success faster. So that's why I always suggest going after that narrow niche market, because I've had great experiences with it. And then the broad topics I've always done, they've been very hard to get enough good content for the whole audience. Okay, so I want to give you my suggestions. So this is what I suggest you do if you're looking for a niche that you're going to start in. The number one thing and this is something that a lot of my students have came back and have said, some of your best advice you ever gave me was this. So if you're new, please pay attention to this. This is critical. Start with a niche that you know something about, okay? It doesn't have to be vast knowledge, but just start with a niche that you know a little bit about. And what this allows you to do, it allows you to already figure out some of the early topics that your audience in particular might want to read about. And this makes your job a lot easier. This makes it easier to determine what the niche is and exactly what the audience is looking for. Now, it's not a stopper if you don't have, let's say there's no niche market that you know of that you want to get into. That's okay, because you can do research and there are other things you can do, and I'm going to talk about that coming up. But there's research you can do to where you can find more about the topic, and I've made money in dozens of niche markets that I had absolutely no clue about when I first got started in them. Okay. Now, what I also suggest that the niche that you get into is that you have the ability to show the audience some step-by-step stuff. That doesn't mean every post that you write has to be step-by-step, or that everything you do with your website has to be step-by-step for them, but I do like to be able to have some things that you can show them step-by-step. For instance, You could do a post that talks about how to do something, and then as the person who's reading the post, you could write it in a way that you could explain to someone that, okay, this is how you do this. This is what you need to complete this. This is where you can buy this at. Here's your next step. This is how you do this. This is where you can find the product that you need to complete this. Okay, so it's a very simple concept, but what you'll find, and I know this works on me a lot because I've done this at sites that I've went to before. If I want to learn something new that I don't have a clue about, I'll take the person who is making the suggestions, I'll take their suggestions and use those. And I don't want to have to go search for this stuff, so I'll use their link that's right there on the page. Well, that's a great place where you can have an affiliate link and you can make some money by recommending that to somebody. Now, the next thing I also like when a niche market has the ability to have things that you can review. And this is just very simple. Basically, let's say you had a site teaching people a little bit about photography. Well, you might not only give them step-by-step on how to do things with a camera, but you might also say, here's a review, I have for this particular camera, and lead people to an actual review you did for a camera. And what this allows you to do, it allows you to share your expertise about it, suggest a camera that they can buy and where they can buy it, and they'll go right through you to buy it, and you earn commission that way. So being able to review things makes a huge difference because the audience will probably want to see what you recommend through your reviews. Okay, so that way you can also go, this is the one I recommend, here's a review. And here's the other thing, people search the internet for reviews. Okay, they'll type it right into Google or Yahoo or Bing. They'll go in and type, Nikon 500 review. Okay, I don't even know if that camera exists, but that could be something that they do, some type of camera. And with a little keyword research, you can figure that out as you're going through to pick out your niche. Okay, so real easy to do, but those are just some things that I suggest. Now, I also have some other suggestions that I think you need to take into account when you're finding your targeted niche market that you want to get involved in. Okay, one thing I recommend is getting into a market that's not so broad that you have too wide of an audience. Okay, I've already talked about that. Again, that also isn't too narrow that you have too small of an audience. So you don't want to go down too low to where there's only a few things you can write about, because then you might have the site up and running, but you won't ever have new content for that audience. You'll just kind of get stuck with hey, I've got the site with 10 posts and it makes a little bit of money, but I can't expand it. Now, some people love doing that, and if that's your thing to go that low, that's fine, but it's probably never going to make you the exact money that you want to make from a very, very narrow topic. And so one way to get around that is make sure that the topic has enough, when you're in the keyword research phase, make sure that the topic, the niche you want to get into, has 30 or more posts that you could create. Okay, if it has less than 30 posts or so that you could create, or 30 keywords that you could create with, then it might be a little too narrow. Again, I'm not the one to tell you to steer away from that completely, because I know the little micro niches, there have been people that have made good money in those. And sorry about that, my Roomba in the background decided to go off for a second, but basically, get into a niche where you can come up with 30 or more topics. Okay, so just to simplify that step just a little bit for you. Now, the other things I suggest, I suggest you spend as much time as possible in the niche research phase, and that you're not in a huge hurry to go and select your market that you want to get into. What this allows you to do, it allows you to really investigate the niche in detail. And if you're brand new, inside of my courses and things, I show you how to dig into finding a good niche and how to get into that whole research phase where you can really figure out what your niche is all about, And then you can go into the keyword research phase so you can dig into it deeper. And I suggest you spend as much time as possible on niche research and keyword research before you select your niche market. It's going to come in handy in the long term on it. And I've made the mistake in the past where I jumped into a niche market. I didn't do enough research, and then I found out I really didn't like the niche, or it was extremely difficult to compete in. And it made things more difficult. And ultimately, I was never able to make the money I wanted to in that niche market. So make sure you research the niche fully. So keyword research, and then your niche research, and then into keyword research before you select your niche market. And again, you want to make sure the topic ends up being deep enough that it's not too narrow. Again, to just generalize, over 30 topics in your niche market is good. Okay, so you can learn that in the keyword research phase as you're going through.
Mailbag.
Jill asked, Michael, I want to go into the dental hygiene niche because I know a lot about it. I work in it, and I love the industry. Do you think this is a good way to go, or should I look for a niche that will make me the most money? Now, that's a really good question. Part of that I've already answered on this call, but it's something that, to answer this in full, I would say two things. First off, Jill already knows a lot about that niche, okay? She works in it. The other thing is she absolutely loves that industry. And those two things right there, the fact she has knowledge and loves the industry, that's almost a no-brainer for me of a niche that she should go into right away. Because, again, when you know a lot, it's easy to figure out what the audience wants to know about that topic. And if you love the industry, it also makes it easy and fun to write about that subject. So if you have to create content based on that particular niche market, you're already going to enjoy doing it, and you already know all about it. Plus, with something like the dental hygiene niche, you could recommend a lot of products in that one, because you could teach people how to clean their teeth properly, how to whiten their teeth, things they could do, that you could always recommend different products and then show them where to get it, and through your affiliate link and things like that. So that is a great niche market to get into, because there are so many things that you could do as far as recommending products, and good stuff you can review as well. So again, going back, if you love it and you know a lot about it, it's already a good match. And then even more, you can recommend a lot of products in that market. So I think it's a great market, and I think anyone else out there who is wanting to get into anything, it doesn't have to be the dental hygiene niche, but anything where you can teach and then review and demonstrate things, basically give the audience a solution that they're looking for, it's going to be light years ahead of if you're getting into a niche that you know nothing about that might not have some of those similar qualities. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. And again, I'm not saying it can't be done. I've done it in several niches that I just knew absolutely nothing about, but I just wanted to go in and make money in them. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. The number one thing is get into a narrow niche, but not too narrow. 30 post plus would be good there. If you have knowledge about the niche, it's great. If you have no knowledge, it's not a deal breaker. Again, you can learn the things you need to learn by doing some research. So it's not a deal breaker. It just makes it easier if you already have knowledge. I'm a broken record there, and you'll hear me say it over and over again. But I like you to be able to know that coming in, if you're brand new, that if you do have some prior knowledge of a certain industry, it does help. If you like the niche or even love the niche, it's good. It's better than if you had no desire to be in that niche. For instance, I would never go into probably like a makeup niche, because I have no desire to be involved in that industry. It doesn't interest me at all. I'd probably get bored with it even if it was making me money. Now, you might be on the other end going, hey, I don't care what niche market I'm in as long as it makes me money. And if that's your mindset, you can still come up with topics or have even someone write for you about those topics, and that's fine. I'm not gonna rain on your parade here and tell you not to do that. But just for me, I have trouble getting into niche markets that I don't like. Other people have told me, hey, I don't care. If it makes me money, I'll be in the whatever niche. It doesn't matter. Remember, if you can show reviews or step-by-step information, that's always very helpful. And granted, you'll end up making simple, informative posts too, just teaching people or giving people information they're looking for. But reviews, usually when people are looking up reviews, they're looking to buy something. Okay, so they're looking to buy. That's one of those buyer keywords out there. Step-by-step stuff, showing them, demonstrating it, makes it easy to tell them where to buy the product also. Do this to get this result. Here's where you buy this at. Boom. Simple. Make sure you spend ample time in niche research and spend time in keyword research. Those two things are critical, and I recommend starting in the top with those two things. Start niche research, learn more about the niche, see if it's something you want to get into, and then dig into the keyword research and see what kind of topics are in that niche market, and if you really want to get into it from there. Okay, so that's it for the show today. I know it was short. The attempt with these shows is to make them as short and sweet as possible and get you the goods, and then we can have a lively discussion about it. So if you have any questions over the episode that you just listened to, make sure you've joined as a member. You sign up with your email at unleashingyoursuccess.com. That is the email list where you can get more information. In fact, I have about an hour's worth of training that you get when you first join there. And then you'll also get access to where you can come over and find me over on Google Plus or Facebook. But the main discussion is going on over in Google Plus, and it's at the Unleashing Your Success community, which is absolutely free. So if you listen to one of these episodes, including this episode, and you have questions over your niche market or a niche market that you potentially want to be in, ask, and not only will I answer, you'll probably get other people in the community who will give you an answer as well. Great place, great resource to get help especially when you're first getting started. So, and it's a great place when you have some experience too, because it helps reinforce everything. It helps give you that encouraging mindset. So you might have a day where you're feeling down, but you can come in, get a little encouragement, and get going and really get going in your niche market and make some money. So again, I'm Michael Brown. I thank you for listening to this episode of the Online Success Podcast, and I really look forward to you being part of the community at unleashingyoursuccess.com. Have a fantastic day, and go get that niche. Get started and get making money online. I'll see you in another episode.
You've been listening to the Online Success Podcast with Michael Brown. Here's to your success.